They thought Duke had turned aggressive toward their son. They had it completely backwards. Priya Okonkwo-Reyes had worked as a respiratory therapist for 9 years. She knew the sound of a compromised airway before it became an emergency. That knowledge was about to fail her in the one place she least expected it, her own living room. Her son Kai was 20 months old. Duke was a 4-year-old German shepherd the family had raised from 8 weeks. He had never so much as growled at Kai, gentle to the point that neighbors joked he was the wrong breed for the job. That Tuesday evening made no sense from the start. Kai was playing on the rug, stacking blocks, when Duke rose from his spot by the window and walked directly toward him. Not the easy, loose-limbed walk Priya knew. Stiff, deliberate, he planted himself between Kai and the hallway leading to the kitchen and would not move. "Duke, off," Priya said. He didn't look at her. His eyes stayed locked on the hallway behind him, ears pinned forward, body rigid as a fence post. Kai reached for his toy car, which had rolled toward the kitchen doorway. Duke stepped sideways to block him, again, silent, immovable. Priya felt the first thread of unease she recognized from work, the particular stillness that precedes something going wrong. She had seen dogs guard children before. In her clinical experience, she'd also seen it escalate. Resource guarding, territorial confusion around toddlers. She crossed the room and physically moved Duke by the collar. He allowed it, but the second she let go, he repositioned himself in the exact same spot. Her husband, Marcus, came in from the garage. "What's going on with him?" "I don't know. He won't let Kai near the kitchen." She said it evenly, professionally, the way she'd narrate a chart note. But something small tightened his voice was already forming a decision. "Let's put him in the yard for a bit, just until he settles." Marcus didn't argue. Priya was the one with the clinical background. If she was concerned, that was reason enough. They led Duke out the back door. He didn't resist, but he stopped at the threshold and looked back at the kitchen one more time before the door closed. Kai stopped fussing almost instantly. Priya told herself that was confirmation. 20 minutes later, Duke was scratching at the glass. Not the occasional attention-seeking scratch dogs do. A fast, rhythmic, insistent scraping that didn't stop, didn't slow, didn't pause for breath. Marcus let him back in, just to quiet him down. Duke didn't run to Kai. He ran straight to the kitchen doorway and stood there, staring down the hall toward the utility closet, body coiled, refusing every command to sit. Priya followed his gaze. Nothing. No smell, no sound. Just her son's water heater closet door slightly ajar the way it always was. She almost walked past it. That detail would matter. She didn't know that yet. Duke barked once, a single hard, controlled bark he had never used in the house before, and pressed his shoulder against her leg, pushing her toward the hallway. She followed him 3 steps before she smelled it. Faint, almost sweet, wrong. Her training kicked in half a second before her fear did. She grabbed Kai, opened the back door and the front door, and called Marcus's name in a voice that made him drop what he was holding. The gas company technician arrived 19 minutes later. A corroded fitting behind the water heater had been leaking slowly for hours, undetectable to human senses at that concentration, but well within range of a dog's nose. Natural gas is odorized with mercaptan, specifically because humans can't smell it reliably at low concentrations, the technician explained, reading the meter again to be sure. At this level, in a room this size, with a toddler this size closer to the floor, another hour, maybe less, and we'd be having a very different conversation. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Priya sat on the porch steps that night while Kai slept safely upstairs, replaying every minute. Duke standing guard at the hallway. Not aggression, an alarm with a heartbeat. The scratching at the glass. Not attention-seeking, a warning he couldn't say any other way. The bark inside the house, the only alarm system that had actually been working. Has your dog ever done something you couldn't explain until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. She knelt down on the kitchen floor where Duke now lay, chin on his paws, eyes half closed but still angled toward the hallway out of habit. "I'm sorry," she said. He didn't lift his head. He just leaned his weight into her knee, the way he always had, as if there had never been anything to forgive. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Marcus carried Kai down the next morning for breakfast. Duke was already at his post by the kitchen doorway, watching the hall the way he always would from now on, the ordinary dog who had simply been paying closer attention than anyone realized.